Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. I hope that you're all ready for Escape from Kiln, because that's going live later on today at 1 p.m. Pacific. Now, there's a few things that I want to tell you that are going to make this a whole lot easier for you when this goes live. Now, yes, I'm not an envoy. I don't have all of the gameplay footage to show you. There's other people, other content creators, and in fact, one that I'll let you know that you can watch that has all of the nodes in terms of all of the enemies if you want to take a look at that beforehand before it goes live. But I want to give you some tips that are going to help you be able to get through it so much quicker. It's actually, in my opinion, a little bit of a cheat code, because I think it's going to help you that much more when you get to these nodes, and I'll let you know exactly what you need to do. But before we do start the video, I do want to give a special shout out to today's video sponsor. Hey everyone, today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. Now, Into the AM is a clothing company based in Southern California whose artistic vision is to express themselves using clothing as their canvas. They were kind enough to send me some examples of their shirts, and honestly, it fits really great. I personally love the fact that these shirts aren't 100% cotton. It includes about 40% polyester, and it allows the shirt to keep great form. And even for someone like me, who, it's not always careful with, how I wash my clothes, they come out looking great. Quality of these shirts are just really top notch, honestly. They have some really cool designs with a lot to choose from online, but here's an example of one of them here, which is inspired by classic gaming. You can see with the Space Invaders on the arcade machine here. And I have this other one here, actually. It looks like a robot samurai. You might be able to see this. I wore this out on New Year's Eve, and it was really awesome. So some really great designs coming out of this company, and it just fit really well. But I think it's important to tell you what you can do if you're interested in some new clothes. You can get a bundle of 3 graphic tees for about $60 US with an additional 10% discount if you use my link on screen and in the description down below. This will also go towards helping the channel here, so if you want to both get some awesome new clothes and show your support to me, then what are you waiting for? But really, go click that link, buy some shirts. Okay, back to the video. Now, before we get started with the rest of the video, I just want to give a special shout out to Dorky Dad and his video that he did on the Kiln playtest on the playtest server for the envoys. He's got every single node. If you want to see him like run through the entire thing, it's a bit of a lengthy video, but if you want to take a look at all of the nodes all the way from 1 through 40, things like that, then you can see it all here. It's, from what I understand, not gonna, for veterans like myself and him and others, all the way up to like probably on the floor like 25 plus, it's not going to be that challenging. And actually, I don't really mind that, because I think when Sword Satellite came out, this was sort of something that was not something that early and mid game players could really do anything with, right? If I'm not mistaken, Sword Satellite had like a few nodes, and it like just ramped up really quickly as far as the power level goes. And so the scaling for Escape from Kiln is a little bit more reasonable. And I don't mind that, because I think it gives us content for a wider audience rather than just the veterans. So that part is nice, despite that, some of the veterans will say that, the rewards really aren't that good. And then that depends on, where you are in the game and what you need. For people who only need the stuff at the top, yeah, maybe it's not as good as Sword Satellite, but, different expectations in terms of that. But yeah, I want to talk about some of the, just make sure that people are understanding exactly what to expect with this. So the main thing is, and you might have seen this in the blog, of course, I don't want to regurgitate too much of this, is that basically you're taking your characters and their cooldowns, their health, and all of that is going to go from node to node to node. Usually the teams have about 3 nodes per section, and those health for those characters, those cooldowns for those characters, they're all going to carry through. But the first 4 nodes have no restrictions, which gives you a really great way to be able to pre-power some of the characters that I think are a little bit more important, which is things that I am going to talk about here. You can see all the restrictions here beforehand, before it goes live. You can see it in some of the videos. Really, things aren't going to get more, depending on your roster, of course, things aren't going to start to get more challenging until about, in my opinion, floors, maybe 20 up, maybe here at the Asgardian level and up. So I'm not going to go through every single set of characters. I already did this actually in a video before New Year's with Gangster KT. So I would go back and check that out if you want to get some ideas on what characters you should be using. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all the characters that you should be charging up on floors 1 through 4. For the rest of the stuff, because there are characters that don't have their ultimates ready, some characters that, surprise, I think are going to be able to be charged up before you go in. And this is going to be if you have access to these characters. Now, free to play, some free to play players might have these characters that I'll be talking about in this video. If you pulled some power cores for them, I think you know who I'm probably referring to, but they're down here at cells 32 to 34. So if you're not thinking about going that far, if you're not having gear tier 17 characters, don't worry about it. But otherwise, I do want to let people know that this is going to help significantly on those nodes when you get to it. So let's go back into the game. Let's go into the roster. What am I talking about? And when it comes to charging up characters, obviously you can just take the characters in. By the way, you can only have the 3 characters, trying to get my hand right, 3 characters per node. So you're not going to be able to charge everyone. There are some characters that will help you charge characters faster. Characters like Vol, characters like Red Hulk, they require a little bit more energy in order to get their ultimates ready. And so you can use, for Vol, actually, what I would recommend is using Thanos. Putting Thanos next to Vol and or maybe other cosmic characters as well, because on death of enemy, generate 2 ability energy for self or any adjacent cosmic ally. This is probably best served with Vol because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think you need like 4 extra ability energy before before Vol gets to their ult. So it's 4 or 5. I don't really remember off the top of my head, and I'm not going to go bother to check. But anyways, having Thanos next to Vol, and then Vol just killing a bunch of characters is going to generate the ability energy right off the bat for that. So that'll be very easy. Other characters like Jessica Jones, who has the Shake It Off ability, which generates ability energy for random allies, which in this instance, because there's only 3 characters on the field, is going to make things really easy. So if you want to build that energy for Red Hulk's ult without having Red Hulk kind of build up those charges first, so that you can go in like on the first node essentially and pull off that ult, then you'll want to use Shake It Off. That's going to really help. And another thing that'll really help is by using Star-Lord, specifically his passive, I believe. Oh no, his passive. Yes. So adjacent allies for this, if he manages to take a turn and if the team's not wiped. But otherwise, you also have the special as well, which generates 2 ability energy to random adjacent allies. So if you put Star-Lord on one side and then Red Hulk right next, you have 2 ability energy here, and then you have 1 to 2 over here. And then that could already give you the, well, actually, I'm not sure how many I'll check just to make sure. So Red Hulk will also take his own turn as well, which will help generate. But I think, yeah, okay, you need quite a bit. It's like 8. But between Jessica Jones and Star-Lord, I think there's a good chance that you could probably fill him up. He is a single, if you just use his basic on other turns, it's single target damage. And so you won't like run through the enemies that quickly. And I think you should still be able to get to Red Hulk's ult so that it's pre-charged for when you go into his nodes, which is going to be largely on the legendary section. So, you know, I don't think that Red Hulk does show up on any of these other ones. So that's pretty much what you're charging up for 35 through 37. And then the Asgardians for Vol. Maybe Beta Ray Bill, but I would focus on Vol first if you wanted to do that. There are some other characters that I want to kind of talk about here as well, and we're going to go through my list a little bit. A lot of them are going to be based on my kind of top performing characters, and that's going to be another one. A character would be Ghost Rider Robbie. Is that so that you can, and he only needs like 1 extra energy, but having that ultimate ready because it's going to do that AoE bleed, which is just going to power up his turn bar even more when you do get around to using him. That might be important there. Characters like Doctor Doom, where the heck is he? Oh, I'm surprised he's that far down. Doctor Doom for its time platform. Maybe even Quicksilver for his ultimate. Actually, you know what? I might actually recommend again. No, sorry. Scratch that. The reason why is because I think it says charging system, and I don't want to burn that because that might actually go from one node to the next. And we'll talk about some characters with charge mechanics and how they lose it. So I probably wouldn't do Quicksilver because I think there's a chance that he might actually lose his charges and therefore not get it back. Or does he get it on spawn? No, he gets it on spawn. Okay, so maybe not. Maybe that's okay. You could pre-build his ultimate, I think, because you need to take a turn first, like 1 full turn with him, or 2 in this instance, 2, before he actually gets his energy for his ult. So that might be something that you want to build as well, because you're going to use him on the global mystic floor. So really good character for that. Other characters that you can consider bringing up, and I'm going to get to the really important ones at the end, but that's only if you're getting so far. Now, okay, I passed it. Sorry, my bad. Is going to be Omega Red. Omega Red's ultimate, Tentacle Onslaught. Really, really good skill. So that's going to be really valid in the villain mutant floors from 26 to 28. So Omega Red is a very good character to kind of pre-charge as well. And I do also, maybe, I think it's going to be pretty easy. So I don't think you actually need to do this, but if you're someone who does have Cloak and Dagger, which is going to be the City Mystic floor that you're going to use Robbie on, you can actually pre-build Dagger. Is my Dagger actually that low? Yeah, Dagger's down here. So, you know, the ultimate is a turn 2 ability with Cloak. So if you have Cloak and Dagger and you're going to use them for City Mystic, then this is something that you could build up as well so that you have access to both of the alts if necessary. Probably won't, because you might want to alternate between Cloak's alt and Dagger's alt, not chuck both of them out at the same time, but just something to keep note of that as well. Now, one thing that I think is going to make a huge difference that not a lot of people are actually talking about is the Extreme X-Men. Now, this is going to be something that you're going to be using on the top floors of 32 to 34. But what you're going to be able to do is, I'm almost 90% certain that you're going to be able to do this because the fact that his charges persist not only through death, although you don't want them to die here in this instance, but also on between raid nodes, node to node. That means when you go into the next battle, Sunspot should, in Kiln, transfer his charges from node to node to node. And what do we know about Sunspot, at least the way he currently operates, is that, and this is only going to apply to people who have him or who cord for him, that he does generate 1 ability energy for self and each Extreme X-Men ally up to a max of 10 when you build his charges. So building his charges maybe on 1 or 2 of the nodes, depending on how many other characters that you're trying to charge up, would make a significant difference by the time you get to those X-Men nodes. The reason being is that because it's going to really help. The longer he survives on different nodes, even better, because every node that you bring him into is going to drop those those ability energies onto the other characters. I think this is a good place also to potentially build up some of Cyclops' charges as well, because I think that if Sunspot's charges go from node to node, Cyclops will as well. And that's something that I would definitely test. I wish I was able to test it, but I don't, because I don't have access to the test server because I'm not an envoy. But I think that being able to have characters like Sunspot and Cyclops having some charges beforehand going into those higher out nodes will be pretty crazy. As far as a 3-man team goes, I think actually you'll get a lot of value out of using the Extreme X-Men roster in some capacity. This could be Nightcrawler, Gambit, and Sunspot. This could be Nightcrawler. It's probably going to include Nightcrawler and Gambit, frankly, as the 2 main characters. And then your third one is going to be either you could bring in Cyclops for 1 node once he's been charged up, so that you can unleash that ultimate and actually making sure that you drop in and actually so that he can do this on turn 1, but also build up some charges beforehand on those first 4 nodes as well. I think is going to be really important because he is going to get more charges on Extreme X-Men or any X-Men. He gets +2 charges, so that's going to slowly build it up. The only problem is that these guys are really prone to just like killing weak enemies really, really fast. Gambit can hit 2 targets. Sunspot does like adjacent targets, so there's a good chance that you might not get very many turns so that Cyclops can build up his charges, but trying to get as many charges, and if you can get at least Sunspot to 5 before you get to the actual X-Men nodes, I think it's going to be really amazing, because you're going to be able to bring him in for certain nodes to recharge people if you're not able to do that, and I think it'll make things a lot easier. Something that they haven't really considered, and something that I might have to talk about in a separate video, but I do want to let people know, in case they didn't know already, that this part here, where the interaction between Sunspot and Forge, with Forge bringing Sunspot back, and Sunspot triggering his energy thing again, that's actually a bug. That's going to get fixed. I've been told by community manager Archangel that is not an intended part of his kit. It's supposed to only happen at the start of battle, not after being revived. So that part's going to be fixed, because otherwise it's an infinite loop of energy and it's kind of broken. That part's going to be fixed. But for everything else, even for things like this, the energy is going to carry over, and I think that's going to be really, really amazing. So those are some of the top characters that I think that you should be pre-charging for Kiln. That's going to make this significantly easier. That is not an exhaustive list. Basically, if you're a lower, maybe you're a newer mid-game player who does not intend to get to floor 30 or so, then maybe you want to charge some of the other characters on the previous floors. But make sure you're kind of aware of that, because that's going to make things a lot easier when you go into these nodes. When you have some of your high-value characters that are able to pull off their skills like right away, that's going to make a huge difference. And no, I didn't mention all these other top characters. Yeah, I probably not even get to the villain bio, the very top. So yeah, if you're one of those people, then maybe you want to pre-charge Super Scroll. I don't know, but I'm not going to bother doing that, because I don't really expect to do that. That being said, you're going to have an infinite amount of times that you can kind of redo Kiln if you so wish. So if you think that maybe you can do things a little bit differently and get to a higher floor, then you have that opportunity too. In a way, this is kind of like a Scourge event, because it's all based on how much time do you have to spend on this. It's not like you're done for the day, and that's it. Kind of like tower mode. This you can do as much and reset as much as you want. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. There's probably going to be some other Escape from Kiln content this week that I'm going to talk about. Maybe things where I got, caught up a little bit, or talk about my opinion after running it. So that's going to be it for my video, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. I'll see you later. And don't forget to click on the link below if you're interested in buying some shirts from Into the AM. Still wearing it. Great shirt. Some really great quality stuff. So do check that out, and you're going to help support the channel as well. I said that twice. Okay. I need to go sleep. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video.